Pull up. Hey, this is the pull up show. We still got the key in the dough. And we're back with a Tony and Tony All Things Pies.
Podcast. This is the pull-up edition, and on this particular one, I should hit that so we can get some crowd feed going on, but
we'll do
hit
that next time. No, hit it. Hit the button.
Are you sure?
Hit the button. Hit the
wrong button. Hey!
We're at game day, baby. We're at game day. Lee Corso.
Oh, yeah. Lee, great job, Lee Corso. He ends up winning on this very last time, with the head that he puts on. Yeah, so he picked, who did he pick?
Ohio State. Florida State and Ohio State.
Yeah. All right, Lee. If you're watching this, great job. Great job. Appreciate all the stuff that you've been doing for college football and all the stuff that you did. And didn't realize that him and Deion Sanders share. They're like defensive backs that was with Florida State. I think Deion's like ranked second in interceptions or something like that. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think he's tied. I think he's tied.
Yeah, something like that with Lee. Yeah. All this time, I didn't realize that Lee Corso was a defensive back that played college football. Didn't know. So, yeah. I got to start looking up on that type of stuff. I should have known that. Knew that. But on this episode, we're looking at, we're talking about the LSU Tigers versus the Clemson Tigers. This game went 17-10 in favor of LSU. And I guess my big question to start off this podcast is, did LSU just announce themselves as a true playoff contender? Or was it more about Clemson's being overrated?
Well, honestly, this goes down into everyone believes that Garrett, I'm not going to say his last name because I butchered Nesemeyer.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, that Garrett is the top quarterback, most NFL-looking prepared quarterback that they believe should come out. Cade Klubnik, I'm a Clemson fan. So Cade Klubnik, my quarterback, he's had a couple years to really develop and do these things and go through. And nothing against Clemson. Clemson definitely not overrated. They're top of ACC. There's a lot of returning players. There's a lot of growth. You're under Dabo Swinney. You have a lot of things that make that program sustainable over year after year. I just believe that this game that just came down to it, LSU still have some things to prove in the SEC. You still got to go through some tough teams every year like you got to. You still got some things that gonna have to clean up on both sides of the ball. But honestly, LSU, I believe they're in the top 3, maybe 4 of the SEC. But honestly, after this game, how they played, and I saw on both sides, it really comes down to they could be the second best team in the SEC. But that's just off of one game. Reality-wise, they still got to play Georgia, Texas.
That's true.
They still got to see if Florida's going to be a reliable team going forward with DJ Lagway being able to progress through this year and them having the new people coming in. They still got SEC is always going to be tough. You got South Carolina who put on an impressive game versus Virginia Tech, even though it came down to the wire. But there's a lot of teams in the SEC right now who are ranked and who are strong and they're in a good place. But I feel like this win for LSU definitely, just for Brian Kelly's sake, definitely maintain a positive up note on his legacy and on the LSU's standpoint going forward. Now, Clemson, I don't believe that they're ranked that high up for no reason, but I do believe that the reason that they're doing things and that they're having is going to be something that benefits them going forward, because that first game when you lose, you can only go up from here.
Yeah, that's true. I think, to answer the question, I think, yes, LSU, I can see them making it into the playoffs. But like you said, after you watch the game, but then you start thinking, SEC, you got Georgia. I mean, who knows? Alabama could bounce back from that.
Yeah.
Um, South Carolina with what they did, so you got other great teams that are still there in the SEC. So I don't know if this one game sort of just solidifies, yeah, LSU is going to make it into the playoffs. But I do think this was a make or break game for Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
If he lost this one, yeah, the fan base is circling. We got to get rid of him. We need to get another coach. So I think for him, this sort of saves him until the next big game that they're hoping that they should win. And so I believe that is good. As far as Clemson, I was impressed with them. Now something that was kind of interesting. All my time's been watching Clemson, and maybe this is how they had it set up on ESPN with watching the game and everything on YouTube TV. But just to see that whole ride where they're getting on the bus, they're going around the stadium, it's like that was like a big production to see that. And I think maybe
Yeah.
that's like the first time I saw it in its full totality. I think I saw other times where they're just getting off the bus and then they're going to the stadium and running down the ramp. I thought that was really good. It added some drama to the game, just seeing all of that, high production value. But as far as Clemson, I thought they did pretty good. Um, I think they left some plays on the field.
Yeah.
Um, and also it looked like they had a hard time when I went back and watched some of the highlights. They had a hard time stopping that run. Stopping the run. Garrett was able to roll out the pocket, always finding people over the middle. I think they had problems with that, staying with the receivers. So I think the big question marks for me for Clemson is their defense. But I think with their schedule, I think they got a pretty easy schedule coming up. So I believe that they should be all right. Um, but they just got to work on their defense. And then also, again, as we talked, I believe earlier about um, those slant plays over the middle. It's like starting off this year watching college football, a lot of teams been having a hard time of getting those slants. Now LSU did a great job in that, as far as finding people over the middle, but I think that should be something that they really need to focus in on their upcoming games. Is really hitting those wide receivers out the back, hitting their tight end. Because I think if they can open up that middle, then that's going to open up those post routes. So I think that's something Clemson need to work on, and I believe that Dabo is gonna see this when they go back and look at film. So that was sort of like my thing far as answering sort of like the big, question of the day.
Yeah. I think something that really stood out to me about the Clemson game is first and foremost, I don't really question too much the defensive end of the ball. I question
Mm,
more of the offensive run game for Clemson.
mm,
The run game only produced 31 yards, and a lot of those runs practically came from Cade himself. I know that they
mm,
don't have a running back that's going to be going out there and be getting the job done like they've had in the past with Phil Maffa, um, ETN. There's a gap in between this running back where they got two freshmen. The the leading rusher is Adam Randall for 16 yards with one touchdown. And Cade ran the ball for 8 times, but at the end of the day, when you go in and you look at the game, it's like, okay, we're not getting enough run game to go down to pressure this D line. We're not pressuring nobody to do anything, so they can send seven guys down on us. They can send, a full house, a full box on us. They can just pressure
yeah,
Cade and force him to be out there, and they really just played a spy on him at later parts of the game because it's like they're boxing our wide receivers, especially when Antonio Williams, our second star behind Cade Klubnik, is out.
mm,
So
that's true.
we're scrambling for an answer. We're scrambling for things. And a big thing I noticed was Cade and Garrett had the same amount of yards on through the air, 230. The only
Right.
difference was one threw a touchdown and one threw a pick. And the touchdown was against AJ Terrell, which is brothers on the Falcons, and his brother's there
Mm,
playing corner.
that's a good point.
AJ Terrell, the only reason why he lost that matchup is because you're going against a 6'9" tight end. So in a one-on-one situation where Clemson had flag on flag on flag against him in the end zone, but at the end of the day, that was the only time that the Clemson defense really kind of just fell through. Besides that, constant conversions on getting first downs. I mean, 25 first downs compared to the Clemson's 13 first downs, it makes the game a lot harder for your defense to go out there and do it, especially when you look at the possession time. The possession time for LSU was significantly higher. I mean, they had 37 minutes of possession and Clemson only had 22. So practically for a whole
Mm,
quarter, LSU had the ball more than Clemson. So I believe it's on the offensive side with the run game where you can't clock management, you can't get first downs, you can't go forward. Now your defense
right.
is constantly out there having to put in work, and sooner or later, I mean, the run game is going to pound it, ground pound and get them out there, push them too far, and next thing you know, you're going to see different holes through the wall, and it just comes crashing down. So I really just think it falls on the Clemson run game.
Yeah, I mean, I had some things down here that I put. The Clemson offense, it struggled. I mean, 0 points in the second half. As far as his accuracy with Klubnik, he had that one interception, but there was no rhythm with the wide receivers at all. Like you said, the 31 yards rushing, that's an issue, you know. Um, and like I said, I mean, Clemson left a lot of plays out there that they should have capitalized on. And the bad thing about this is that Clemson had a veteran offense.
Yeah,
So when you think about the rankings, they're ranked number 4. So I can see that. It's like this is a veteran offense. You're bringing back, you know, um, these veteran players. The quarterback, he came back. This should have been easy. Not like easy in winning the game, but you should have been able to run your offense a lot better than what we saw. So I
yeah,
think that was something that Dabo needs to clean up far as is just their offense. The offense shouldn't have struggled like that, especially at home. All the hype, televised game. Um, they should have been ready for this one.
yeah. And as I was haunted for the last couple of days. I kept saying that missed field goal turned the game around.
Ah,
That missed field goal, right after that, LSU scores. It's ten
that's true.
ten, and at that point, then from there, you get an interception. They get the ball again. LSU misses the field goal, but it doesn't matter at this point because right now the momentum has switched.
Mm,
That missed field goal changes a 13-3 game. Now LSU's struggling to get the ball, trying to move things and go forward. They got to go through the full field to get down there. Even if they score at this point, it's 13-10. Now, when they're in the position to kick that field goal instead of going for it on fourth down or going for it on that third down with a risky play, you take your points at 16-10. They may come down and score at 17 again, but then Clemson had the ball last. Even with 15 minutes of possession for LSU,
that's true.
it's
That's
it
true.
still was a winnable game. With that one field goal that they could have made changes the whole schematic of the game.
Right. What do you think about that? Was it we came down to the end of the game? Was it 4th and 4? What do you think about that play call? Because Klubnik, he got right out the pocket on that. And I saw he was trying to get to a receiver, but it really just seemed like nobody was open. What do you think about the play call with that?
First and foremost, LSU's defensive coordinator is very smart. I gotta go back and see the player that was for LSU, who's number 7. He just played an incredible game. Harold Pickens Jr. He
Mm,
played an incredible game. He was everywhere around the field. He was out there. He has so far 1.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack. He really was a disruptor for Cade Klubnik. He was kind of like the anti-Cade. Everywhere
Mm,
he went, he mimicked and followed him around, which kind of disrupted him. Also, with the wide receivers out there, I just the play call, they should have just run some more bumping runs over the middle or more crossers. But when you
right.
got man to man with some of the best corners that they picked up for LSU, I just didn't believe that the play call was good in that regard. But previously on that drive, I mean, we couldn't hit a slant to save our life that whole game.
That's true.
Going through that play, there was a lot of times where we should have hit a slant and had more time on the field, but now it's third and long, second and long. When it's like these are routine catches, routine things to do. I did not see, if not only one time the entire game, that Cade and his receivers connected on a slant. And we can't blame this on Antonio Williams not being out there. These are some of the best wide receivers in the country that are over here in at Clemson.
That's true.
Returnees, even off the injuries. But still, these are players that you're hoping and you're wanting to be able to establish a good game, even if someone goes down. And I mean,
Yeah.
it is disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, let me ask you this. I mean, because I know this is your team. Clemson's your team. How did you feel about how Clemson their performance in this game? You know, as a Clemson fan, what I was trying to get into the mind of Clemson fans all around. What's the big conversation? If there's a question that's going out there on Twitter, what is everybody talking about after this game?
The big thing that goes down to your mind is, are we really ready for these playoffs coming up, losing games like this? We don't really have a challenge for the rest of the year. There's no real challenge for us besides maybe Florida State, South Carolina at the end of the year. I mean, if you want to say Georgia Tech, you can say Georgia Tech, but it's like this is the one time to really prove and show, like, if we want to rise back up. I mean, the ACC is going to be ACC. We're going to get in if we win the ACC championship.
That's true.
But you want to know if this is our year. You want to know if we can't beat an LSU team who could be, fourth and up, or currently second in the SEC. Can we beat any team that comes through the Big Ten? And can we stand in with those players? Of course, we showed our defense can, but can our offense? It's another year, another time when you're wondering, can our offense pull through? Or are we going to have those times where we lose to those teams that we shouldn't lose to? Like, are we going
Mm,
to see another year of Cade Klubnik dominate these random games that don't have much on the line and then come close to these teams who are in the ACC that we should never even be close to? It puts another fear into your heart of, and maybe I'm wrong here, are we going to see another sparkle of a star like Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence, or is Cade Klubnik just going to be another forgotten name in the Clemson history?
mm. You know, when I think about this game, I think back to last year. You know, I think they lost. Was maybe the first game of the season last year or something like that. They lost, and the end result at the end of the day, they're in the playoffs. I think they're good. Like you said, only thing they have to do is just win the ACC. They got a couple tough games going on towards the end of the year, but other than that, I think they're going to be good. Um, what's that? Was it Peyton Manning? No, Aaron Rodgers. Just relax. I just think they just got to relax. I think their fan base just relax. You guys will be all right. You guys will be all right. And so I guess maybe just to wrap it up, did LSU defense win this game or did Clemson just hand it away?
LSU's defense definitely won this game. They played us well. They did things that disrupted us going forward, but ultimately our run game lost the game for us.
Mm,
Our run game lost the game. Cade had the same amount of yards as Garrett did the air. There's nothing really that you can say, even with Antonio Williams down, missing slants. You could say all those things. Our defense kept giving us the ball back, and we couldn't run to save our lives. So it really comes down to our run game. Our run game lost us this game. When you got to constantly put the ball in Cade's hand, he's constantly got to scramble. He's constantly got to be great on every down. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Can Cade be great on every down while getting pressured, while getting a spy on him, while not being able to run the ball? So honestly, you get the ball for 22 minutes in a 60-minute game, a third of the time. I mean, a little less than a third of the time, and you just can't run the ball. It becomes an issue for the rest of the game because now you're one dimensional.
Yeah. I think, like you said, I think LSU's defense won this game. I was impressed with their defense. I wouldn't be surprised at the end of the year they would probably have like a top 5 defense. That's what I see from them. As far as their offense, I was impressed with their run, but like I said, I think it speaks to me a little bit more about the lack of commitment on handling the run on Clemson. Um, Other than that, like I said, I think Clemson um, is still going to be in there because of the ACC. I think they're going to be good. But as far as rankings, I think, and I heard this on ESPN, one commentator believes that LSU is going to end up at number 1 for this week's rankings. I don't believe that. I think maybe I can see them moving up to 5th or 6th or something like that. As far as Clemson, maybe 11 or 12, I can see that. But that's how I sort of see it, sort of shaking out. Um, I guess in that wrap up, and I ask you, what do you think the ranking's going to be?
Clemson probably gonna strike down to maybe 8, take Alabama's spot. I see LSU, you at the 5-6, that type of position. I don't know if I'll see them over Texas. If I do, uh, there's going to be some justifications behind that. So LSU 5-6, seeing Clemson at 8, low as 9, taking LSU's spot where they were at, but they're going to either take Alabama's or LSU's previous ranking.
Yeah. But I think overall, far as a fan watching the game, I thought this was entertaining game, very competitive. I mean, even though it's like it's first game of the season, I thought it was really good, and it came right down to that very last play of the game. You know, if Clemson gets that converts that 4th down, who knows? So I thought this was really good. So
Yeah, and like I said during the game, I said I've seen this movie too many times. 4th down, turn over the ball, we lose the game. But that's one thing about Clemson; they're always going to give you a good game.
yeah, you did say that while we were watching this. Like I've seen this before. So yeah, but yeah, so well, that's our Tony and Tony all things pull up show rundown on this game. So
Hey,
all
pull up
right,
on me.
pull up. Here we go.
Hey!
All right, cool. Until next time, we'll see you.
Yes, sir.
Pull up. Hey, this is the pull up show. We still got the key in the door.